Dear friends, I welcome you to my channel. I am Taras Berezovets. Today, I wanted to discuss with you the recent investigation by the US Department of Justice, which placed direct responsibility on the Iranian authorities for the attempted assassination of then presidential candidate Republican Donald Trump. Trump himself and representatives of his campaign stated in September that the US National Intelligence warned that Iran intends to kill Trump. The reason for this is revenge for the elimination of the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran, General Qasem Soleimani, in January 2020. The order to eliminate him was given by then President of the United States, Trump. Well, the person who prepared the assassination attempt on him is also connected to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. All of this could explode. The fragile peace in the Middle East at a time when Trump will receive the powers of Supreme Commander of the U.S. Armed Forces. Meanwhile, the Joe Biden administration has authorized American contractors to repair military equipment, including F-16 fighter jets and Patriot air defense systems, directly on Ukrainian territory. Officially, American contractors will now be in relatively safe areas. The public announcement of this information indicates that Washington is warning Moscow about the responsibility for strikes if American citizens are killed or injured as a result. Elon Musk was the third participant in the phone call between Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelensky. This is reported by Axios. This also emphasizes the increasingly significant role of the American entrepreneur in the future. The administration of Donald Trump. It is clear that Elon Musk, who is vying for a government position, also sees Ukraine as a country where he would like to implement his business projects. Elon Musk may primarily be interested in lithium reserves, which have been found in significant quantities in Ukraine. 7 Russian regions were subjected to a massive attack by drones. This is reported by the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. Naturally, in their account, all targets were destroyed. However, the reality may be much more grim for the Russian aggressors. It is known that Ukrainian drones successfully attacked the Rosneft oil refinery in the Saratov region, which has a capacity of over 7 million tons of oil per year. As reported by the leading American EU academic agency Bloomberg, representatives of the business circles in Russia are frightened by the election of Donald Trump. And unlike the brash statements of Putin and Russian propagandists who welcome Trump's second presidential term, Russian oligarchs are extremely concerned that his new presidency may bring them new sanctions and new losses. The British publication The Telegraph reveals the essence of Trump's peace plan. According to journalists, Trump proposed to Zelensky to place British troops along the line of demarcation in Ukraine. There is no official confirmation of the information, nor is there an official reaction from either Ukraine or the United Kingdom. Earlier, Trump stated that the Europeans, including the Poles, Germans, British, and French, would pay for the deployment of a peacekeeping contingent in Ukraine. North Korea has begun jamming GPS signals along the border with South Korea, which poses a threat to the security of the major international airport in Incheon. This primarily indicates that North Korea has most likely received electronic warfare systems from its Moscow associates. Finally, the International Criminal Court has launched an investigation against prosecutor Karim Khan, who issued a warrant for Vladimir Putin. These allegations concern sexual harassment. He claims to be innocent. How is this related to the warrant for the Russian dictator? So, let's start with information from the US Department of Justice. The U.S. Department of Justice officially stated that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is behind the assassination attempt on elected President Donald Trump. The official information was posted on the U.S. Department of Justice website on November 8th. U.S. authorities have already filed a charge in absentia against a 51-year-old citizen, an Iranian, and an agent of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Farhad Shakeri stated that the investigation revealed he led a whole chain of Iranian agents operating in the United States, whose goal was to carry out plans to assassinate elected U.S. President Donald Trump. In addition, FBI Director Christopher Wray stated that agents of the Federal Security Services managed to thwart the assassination of Donald Trump. According to incoming information, the assassination attempt on Trump was quite real. These plans were seriously developed by representatives of the Iranian intelligence services. In addition, Shakeri received the assignment to assassinate Trump relatively recently. On October 7, 2024, a specific date and individuals who conveyed the corresponding order were established. It is known that Shakeri was once sentenced in the United States to 14 years in prison for robbery. U.S. authorities expelled him from the country in 2008. He is originally from Iran and a citizen of that country who has lived in the United States since childhood. In addition, it is known that at least 2 accomplices of Shakeri have been detained. They are 49-year-old Carlyle Rivera and 36-year-old Jonathan L. They were monitoring an American of Jewish, Iranian descent in New York, preparing for his assassination. And in addition, they were preparing the assassination of 2 Americans of Jewish descent. We are talking about a whole network of secret Iranian special services operating on US territory. And it is obvious that the last-minute thwarting of the assassination attempt on Donald Trump occurred due to a leak of information or because sources from American and possibly Israeli intelligence worked effectively within the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Clearly, no one will inform us of these details. Well, this tells us that after Donald Trump came to power in the White House, which already he threatened to impose new sanctions against the regime of Iranian Ayatollahs and also warned that he would not renew the Iran deal that was made during President Barack Obama's time. Donald Trump will take new, tough military and economic actions against the official authorities in Tehran. This threatens to explode the already fragile peace in the Middle East. However, these actions of Donald Trump will obviously receive support from many representatives of the American elite, primarily from the security forces, the Department of Defense, and intelligence agencies, and will also be positively received by the government of the State of Israel. Nevertheless, the plans that have been announced involve the introduction of the most extensive sanctions against Iranian entities, including individuals involved in attempts on Trump personally, as well as detailed action organizations, and the introduction of sanctions against Chinese companies, primarily Chinese ports that were involved in the transshipment of Iranian oil. It is obvious that Trump and his team already have a plan of action regarding Iran, and it was most likely coordinated with the Israeli authorities, with whom Trump traditionally maintains quite close relations, in particular with the current Prime Minister Netanyahu, who, by the way, recently dismissed a popular defense minister, which caused mass protests in his country. Nevertheless, Iran is preparing for Trump's new presidential term with great caution and concern. Clearly, fearing that the unpredictable Trump is capable of anything, the possible introduction of financial sanctions may not be the worst consequence of the start of his presidency. Everything could end, I repeat, in a real war. Moreover, revenge. Trump is known as a person who does not forget the offenses done to him. There are reasons to take revenge on him. It is quite possible that the United States will demand the Iranian government to extradite Farhad Shakeri. Naturally, no one intends to extradite him. In such a case, Trump may threaten to strike the headquarters of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, as well as continue the elimination of the general staff from the IRGC leadership, which in turn will provoke a response. Iran, it has also become known that Qatar has agreed to expel the Hamas leadership from the country at the request of the US. These are already the first consequences of Trump's election. Obviously, they decided not to wait for trouble since Biden only asked to expel the Hamas leadership, while Trump may resort to more radical actions, including strikes. And now we see that the Qatari authorities have officially agreed to expel all the Hamas leadership that has been based in this Gulf state for the past 12 years. This is reported by leading American, British, and Israeli media, including CNN, Times of Israel, Financial Times, and Reuters, and this is a consequence of the ultimatum. 2 weeks ago, Washington issued an ultimatum regarding the expulsion of the Hamas leadership. And just a week later, the Qatari authorities fully agreed and notified the terrorist group that they should immediately leave the territory. It is reported that the destination of the Hamas leadership is currently unknown. However, the Israeli publication Times of Israel believes that among the possible relocation sites could be Algeria, Lebanon, Amman, or, well, naturally, the Americans will act according to logic. They will not leave this situation and will continue to pursue them. And based in the territory of Qatar, in the capital of this state since 2012, it was previously relocated. From Damascus, the capital of Syria, we see that they are constantly migrating. Qatar has long been a refuge for this group, but ultimately everything comes to an end sooner or later. Meanwhile, the Biden administration has officially authorized American contractors to be in Ukraine to repair American Patriot air defense systems and F-16 fighters. This was reported by CNN, citing its sources. According to a report from CNN, the number of American citizens present is likely to be small. Officially, they will be far from the front line and will not participate in combat operations. It is reported that this will help ensure quick repairs of the equipment provided by the US in case of damage and maintenance as needed, Reuters reported, citing one of the official sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Earlier, Pentagon representatives reported that the transferred F-16 and Patriot systems require American technical support due to specialized technical knowledge. It is unknown, CNN writes, in its report, whether Trump will continue this practice. However, the leak of this information is not accidental. It indicates that the Trump administration has signaled Putin that American citizens, American technical specialists will be working in Ukraine, and accordingly strikes on their bases, which again will obviously not be difficult for Russian intelligence to establish, will have the most serious consequences. In other words, the Americans simply warn that our citizens are here, they are in Ukraine, you even roughly know where, or maybe you will even have exact information, so do not think about striking on the locations of United States citizens, as the consequences will be severe, especially when the unpredictable Donald Trump comes, they can be the most severe. Finally, Axios reports that Elon Musk and this news have already managed to spread all the news feeds and even gossip about why Elon Musk was the third participant in the conversation between Donald Trump and Vladimir Zelensky. As a result, he participated at the initiative of the future American president. The conversation took place on November 6th. In a conversation with Zelensky, Musk stated that he would continue to support Ukraine and that his company Space would provide access to the Starlink satellite system, which is used by Ukrainian military or in the combat zone. According to the publication Axios, the very fact of Elon Musk's participation in this conversation emphasizes the special role that the American oligarch, the American businessman, will play in the future of Donald Trump's administration. It is reported that the conversation itself was quite lengthy, considering that Trump received calls from 70 world leaders, and he spoke with them practically within one day. He talked with Zelensky for 25 minutes. That's a lot. An Axios source, wishing to remain anonymous, stated that after the conversation, Zelensky did not feel a sense of hopelessness. Zelensky himself wrote on the platform X, which is owned by Musk, that he had a great conversation. With Trump, Zelensky himself, in fact, was present. The third participant in the conversation had not reported anything earlier. Journalists reached out to Musk for comments, but he did not respond to this. As many believe, Musk may have significant business interests in Ukraine, particularly with lithium reserves used in the production of electric vehicles. Musk may indeed also be interested in Ukraine's space industry, as he is also the founder of Space, which is involved in launching spacecraft, among other things. All of this suggests that Elon Musk, with his very strange vision of history, is also a person who, as we know, has constant contacts with the Russian dictator Putin. Western media have also reported that he has communicated with Putin several times from 2022 to the present. Elon Musk is certainly under the watch of American intelligence services, who monitor his activities and generally know what he is talking about. But at the same time, he is a person with significant personal and business political ambitions. As is known, he will not be able to run for the presidency of the United States, as he is not a native-born American. He is a naturalized, as they say, citizen of the United States. But he is quite capable of holding any other position, from congressman and senator to governor, or a minister in the American cabinet, known to be personally headed by the president. Nevertheless, this whole story indicates that Musk will also significantly influence Donald Trump's political decision-making, including broadcasting his vision regarding the resolution of the war. Another important fact related to this conversation, though I will say in advance, is officially unconfirmed. It is reported by The Telegraph, which may be a leak. That is, it is obvious that Trump's team has contacted the British, and The Telegraph reports this sensational detail, that British troops may become a peacekeeping contingent to create a 200-kilometer buffer zone that will separate Ukrainian and Russian occupying forces. This could be part of Trump's peace plan. As The Telegraph writes, these details became known after Trump's victory in the elections and his phone call, which I just mentioned, with President Volodymyr Zelensky. According to Trump's plan, along the front line that will separate Ukrainian forces and Russian occupying forces, it is proposed to create a demilitarized zone. Its width is unknown. Ukraine, in turn, commits to refraining from joining NATO for 2 decades. In exchange for this, the Americans promise to continue supplying weapons to Ukraine. They will not deploy their troops and will not finance their presence here, as Trump himself stated. Let the Poles, Germans, British, and French do that. This is not an official quote from Trump's closest team members. At the same time, the United States does not intend to abandon its commitments to support Ukraine, despite various speculations that were previously voiced regarding this matter. Several questions arise here. First, Britain is not a country with the largest armed forces, as is known. Britain does not have a conscript army. It is exclusively professional, exclusively contractual, and Britain has always had a small army. If we imagine the number of peacekeeping contingents needed for 1,200 kilometers, we are talking about at least 15,000–20,000 personnel. Of course, Britain cannot send such a number. Again, considering that these are people who receive huge contracts paid by the UK Ministry of Defence. That is, each of these individuals, and not only talking about the officer corps, but also the enlisted personnel, they will cost tens of thousands of pounds sterling per month. Regarding British taxpayers, let's think about who is capable of supporting such a massive undertaking. If we are talking, I will repeat, even about modest numbers, 15, it is practically nothing for a 1,200-kilometer stretch. Who will support them? Their presence here, rotation, that is, all of this will again be exclusively British or someone else. So these are big questions, the most important being where to get them. The British armed forces are simply unable to send such a number to Ukraine. I speak as it is, since I myself graduated from the UK's top military college, the Royal College of Defence Studies in London, which is the most prestigious higher military institution. I have many comrades, acquaintances, friends among them. The British and political military elite, I know, as I have been to almost all the major military bases of the Royal Navy, the Royal Air Force, and the British Army, I have a rough idea of how this might happen. First of all, I will repeat, Britain will not be able to send such a number until the moment. They simply need to be hired. They need to be trained. And therefore, this detail of the plan currently seems not just difficult to implement. It seems absolutely unrealistic. I will repeat, this can only be a combined effort of the British with someone. And frankly speaking, no European country is capable, not just the British. Any army, even the largest like the French army, is unable to send such a contingent. Even if a foreign legion comes here, it won't solve the problem, meaning it will have to be gathered literally from all NATO member countries. At the same time, Trump himself said that NATO will not participate, the Americans will not pay, so it must be funded by the Europeans. That is, there are a million questions, as they say, but there are no answers yet. Well, let's move on to the next topic. South Korea reports that North Korea is jamming GPS signals in border areas. This threatens the security of the largest international airport, Incheon, in South Korea. It is located about 100 kilometers from the border with North Korea and annually handles over 56 million passengers, as well as 3.5 million tons of cargo. Korea claims that these actions by North Korea are malicious and criminal in nature, They have intensified since the end of May. North Korea itself is unlikely capable of producing such technology. We also conclude that this was all supplied by the Russians. It was the Russians who provided these jamming systems. It benefits them as part of an exchange. We see that meat is coming to Russia, while technologies and specialists are coming from Russia to service them, since the North Koreans, as we understand, lacking experience, they will not be able to service this equipment properly. But I don't want to draw obvious parallels like a monkey with a grenade, but everyone understands what this is about. And finally, one more important piece of news. Karim Khan, the prosecutor who issued the arrest warrant for dictator Putin and Lvova, the so-called Commissioner for Children's Rights, is under investigation for allegations of sexual harassment. It is reported that a woman around 30 years old who worked directly with him filed a complaint against him. An internal document circulated among the member states of the ICC states that Khan has been asked to temporarily step down from his role in the court. The initiation of an external investigation was prompted at the Assembly of Participating Countries, which took place on November 7th. Who will conduct the investigation, reports Rhodes, is currently unknown. The alleged victim of sexual harassment is not confident in the independence of the investigation, if it is conducted by the court's internal bodies. He, allegedly, threatened her through phone calls and in person, and this was done by officials close to him. However, it is unknown when these episodes occurred and what kind of harassment he was accused of. But, again, let's say cautiously, considering that Karim Khan, representatives of the Russian authorities personally threatened him and said there would be consequences for what he did. We cannot rule out that provocations were deliberately set up against him. Since the reputation of dictator Putin is at stake, we understand that for him to allocate any money to discredit the prosecutor who started the investigation against him is, to put it bluntly, a piece of cake. However, we cannot rule out that all of this, it may have taken place. Again, we hope that considering the resonance, the investigation will be conducted fairly and impartially. However, I will repeat once again, the version of external interference cannot be ruled out either. We know that accusations of sexual harassment or other sexual crimes are a favorite tactic used by intelligence agencies, the so-called honey trap. I will repeat once again, I don't want to say anything about the reputation of this unknown employee. There are still too few facts, but as they say, we are making notes about what could have happened and what caused this very investigation. These are our news for today, friends. Thank you for watching this video. Take care of yourselves, subscribe to the channel. We are almost at the mark of 1 million subscribers. We have just a few days left until that number. And I am grateful to all the subscribers, sponsors, and partners of the channel for your invaluable support, which allows our channel to continue to grow and develop. Take care of yourselves, friends. Wishing you a quiet day, a peaceful weekend. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the armed forces of Ukraine, glory to the Ukrainian Special Forces, glory to the Ukrainian Territorial Defense Forces. You are with Major of the Ukrainian Army, as always, Taras Berezovets. Until we meet again, bye-bye.